Hey yo, what up? It's your girl bewitchedfaun, coming in with episode 13 of Fawn's Horror Corner, a series where I watch a random horror movie on Tubi and we talk about it. This week I watched The Forsaken from 2001. The description Tubi gave us was, driving cross country to deliver a vintage Mercedes, Sean picks up a drifter who turns out to be a vampire tracking a band of rival bloodsuckers. I can't say that I had high expectations for this from the get-go. I mean, early 2000s has some real classic horror movies, vampire ones included, and I guess for that reason, the fact that I had never heard of this just kind of left me assuming that it wouldn't be like that great. There are also a good few familiar faces in this movie, and I will point them out as we come across them. Also, just to be safe, throughout this movie there are some kind of like flashy, jarring scenes that could possibly trigger someone with a sensitivity to flashing lights. Normally, I state when scenes with flashing lights start and stop, but it's kinda just throughout the whole thing, and it comes up randomly. I'm gonna try to edit it out as much as I can, but please watch at your own discretion. With that out of the way, let's get into the movie. We begin with an opening shot of a big city, probably somewhere in California if I had to guess. Now we're at a mechanic, and here's where we meet our character Sean, who I personally recognized from Final Destination, My Bloody Valentine, Riverdale, and The Fosters. Sean is here for a job. He needs to deliver a car for some lady by Tuesday. Then let's just talk about the job. Nothing crazy. We enter the garage and this guy just keeps going on with the rules, which I guess is understandable. And then we see the car. I'm not really a car person, but it does look pretty sweet. We're in Sean's office job now. He's telling his co-worker about the delivery job. He needs extra time off of work to deliver it and still needs to tell his boss. And now he's being summoned by his boss. Good luck, buddy. The boss is just busting his balls because he needs a movie trailer for King Zombie, but ultimately, as long as he still delivers that trailer, he's alright. And now he's on his adventure. He meets some girls and one shows him her tatas, but the vibes are beginning to be off and our fun music is no longer here. Suddenly, he loses control of the car and swerves off the road. One of his tires popped. Brought to a mechanic who I can barely understand. Basically, he needs a day to fix it and he's got to take some back roads to get out of here. Also, his wallet is gone, so he has to pay with his sister's wedding gift fund. In a shitter motel now. It looks like Bedbug Central. There's a lot of commotion outside. He gets up to take a look, but he can't really see anything but a car, and he backs into whatever that is. He goes back in bed, but he's still listening. He's asleep, and he has a strange dream. He wakes up to more commotion and listens in on it, but it's got bad vibes, I guess. Back to bed, though. It's the next day, and he leaves his room. The car he saw is gone now. He walks out, but this window looks pretty sus. The mechanic gets paid, and Sean is approached by this guy. He's asking him questions about his destination and wants to catch a ride. Sean says, nah dude, but he just keeps asking, then he gets triggered, until he offers to pay for gas. And now, he's a part of the crew, and his name is Nick. Nick's actor is Brendan Fair. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, it's F-E-H-R, I don't know. He's mostly had small roles in movies, but I recognized him from Better Call Saul, Silent Night, and Final Destination alongside Kerr Smith. And now the two were on the road trip together. Sean tells Nick about his personal life and job, and it's a lot of small talk. They already have a fight because Nick wants to crack open a cold one, but Sean is like, nah bitch, not in this fucking car. So he tosses the can out and it lands right on a police car. Nice going, dipshit. They continue beefing on their bathroom break. They exit and a welcoming group seems to be waiting for them. Small talk is attempted, and our final recognizable person comes into view. That is Simon Rex, who I recognize from Scary Movie 3, the best one in my opinion, Scary Movie 4, Scary Movie 5, the worst one in my opinion. I'm really rooting for the 6th one though. And lastly, Superhero Movie. He's a classic in spoof and comedy movies, so imagine my surprise when I saw him here. They ask for a jump and they already have the cables. They're really sketchy and kind of come off like your local crackheads that you would try to avoid. They end up getting their car running. Sean decides to ask if they were at that same motel the other night as he recognizes the car. But this guy says, nah dude, they're in the car. The group is sketchier than ever, and this girl points out that Nick is a hunter. And this guy says, yeah, it's okay though. Now it's dinner time. It's small talk again. Not much money and Nick is a drifter. Also a pessimist. Sean spots this girl and then she's gone.
And it's gone.
Sean exits the restaurant. Whatever that is drives by, and he walks around and finds the girl he saw, having a really bad time, and she didn't pay for her coffee. Nick catches up and offers to help, while she's kinda tweaking out. Sean gets the car and they're at a motel now. The owner is eccentric to say the least. She gets carried inside. Nick requests its bag and a lot of ice and gets the bath going. He investigates her body and takes her clothes off. And finally, finds the bite mark right above her cooter. So you haven't seen the scenes because I cut them out because YouTube, obviously, but the amount of mommy milkers you see in this movie is kind of ridiculous. Like, I get it, they're cool, but this is the third pair already, and whoever made this movie needs to get laid or something. I don't know, dude. Sean walks in to see her stripped, and Nick drops her into the cold bath. Finally, he tells Nick something. She's infected, but he needs some fucking ice. Scene change, though, to dune racers that the motel owner mentioned. This guy is reckless with a gun, and everyone is trying to drink and vibe. They get approached by this girl. She asks if they have beers to share for her and her friends as they stroll up, and they are rejected brutally. But he keeps asking for a beer. One is grabbed and promptly sprayed onto this guy. He asks for another. Before it's opened, his hand goes straight through this guy and he pulls out his heart. Everyone else panics, which is understandable, and he starts mocking their fear. She really liked that. This girl screams and Nick tries to calm her down. Now Sean is trying to help too, but her screams alerted the motel owner. But he doesn't really care that much, he just wants them out in the morning. Sean injects her with something and she stops screaming. Nick says that she has a blood disorder, a virus, which can be maintained and slowed with drugs. To actually end it, the original source has to be taken out. Nick is about to get real, but something's wrong. Sean's hand got bit, and then he passed out. Nick hears commotion outside, and you'll never guess who. The owner investigates, but he gets promptly shot, and the group carries in a new victim. It's morning now. Nick is loading a gun while the other two sleep. Sean wakes up and had some weird dreams. Nick says you were bit by a vampire. Sean doesn't believe it. He's ready to ditch these two, but Nick needs to show him something. So they're outside, and walks up to that group's car, with the yeehaw guy sleeping on the car. Nick wakes him up and smacks him with a shovel. He steals the keys and tells Sean to open the trunk. He does, but there's nothing inside but a tarp, until this bitch pops out and attacks. Nick smacks that bitch with a shovel, and another one. And finally, she burns and explodes in the sunlight. Deuces. Sean is a believer now, to say the least. Yeehaw guy wakes up and can figure out what happened. Shooting a brick, he wakes up the others and backs straight into the building. Covered by blankets, they enter and close the trunk. He caused a gas leak and needs to leave, but they left a girl behind and they demand he take her out. And now they're moving, and the trailer explodes big time. Sean is getting very sick and Nick tells him he'll turn if he doesn't take the drugs. He needs them to slow the process. Sean is getting big time angry. We learn that Nick was bit as well. Someone else knew about the drugs, and that's how he knows about it now. He's been tracking the one that infected him this whole time, and he thinks it's the main guy. The yeehaw guy is basically just their help. Not a vampire, but he drives them around. They can only die on hollowed ground, which is why he hasn't killed them yet. Back to yeehaw guy. He tells them about the other vamp that got crispy and told them it was that damn hunter. And now the police are on their ass and they got pulled over. Tucking away a gun, the police walks up, and turns out he was big time speeding and his license is expired. Now he has to leave the vehicle and open the trunk. He obliges and gets fucking blasted. Yeehaw guy really liked that. He gets told to light that bitch up before leaving, and so he does. Then he drives off while the cop burns. Sean finally took his pills and Nick gives him the rundown on the turning process and the pills. The girl, however, just has morphine. He's using her as bait. If the virus is strong in her, then the vampire can track her. Sean doesn't like that. It's nighttime now, and they're getting dinner. We get a vampire history lesson from Nick. I wouldn't really say it's like an actual relevant backstory, so I won't go into detail. The important part basically is that our main vampire is pretty fucking ancient, and the virus is telegenetic. So you take out the host and the strain dies, and boom, no more virus for those bitten by him. Nick wants to go to a Spanish mission so they can lure the big guy out there. Sean doesn't like the idea of killing the girl in the end though, so he offers to put her on pills so he can be a decoy instead. But Nick doesn't like that, and someone is behind them being a dick. The girl wakes up now and the familiar car is on their ass and pulls up. It's the vamp squad, and our girl freaks out. This chick pulls out a gun and shoots. Sean gets an idea. He drives up to this truck, cuts him off, and goes off-road. The truck and the vamps keep driving. The girl starts running and Sean catches up and restrains her. The vamps notice their deception and Nick punches her lights out so that they can get to the mission. She's carried to the car and the vamps get closer and pull out the guns. Now the car has died again, and our group drives away, noticing they aren't being followed. Yeehaw guy is being moody. A car is passing by now and the girl steps out to stop them. She says the car died. This guy can't keep it running. Big man steps out and asks for help, and they agree. The vamps are super appreciative. Our party stops. The gas tank was shot and they aren't going to get very far with it. Sean investigates a shed nearby and Nick stays with the girl. He finds some gas and then Nick appears out of nowhere. But now the car is starting. They run out and the girl is driven off. This guy lets a snake bite him and looks like he cooms. Now the car guys have done their job. One is taken out, the other offers money. Big vamp takes his money and then his life. Now they have a new car. Our duo is taking a long walk now and they're just having some small talk. Sean isn't feeling good though, and more small talk. Nick finally hands Sean his wallet that he's had for the majority of the movie, but not far ahead is their car, alone on the side of the road. Now they can drive again, but the car ain't doing so hot. They end up finding the girl just walking around. They drive up and she collapses, but no time to waste. A car is nearing. She's carried inside and they talk over a plan. The cars drive by, but they were spotted. The car doesn't want to start as the vamps start turning around. They're shitting a brick and get the car going. Sean makes a ballsy move and drives toward the vamps instead, and they're playing along. Sean is playing chicken with them. The vampires end up turning and Sean got past, but they're still being chased. They just need to get to the mission. They drive through this small gap and make it through. Yeehaw guy tries, but doesn't make it and causes a massive explosion. He is definitely dead. Everyone steps out to watch, and our party takes advantage and drives off. The mission is 10 miles away, but the car ain't making the trip. But they did find this rundown place. Every door is locked and a dog approaches. This lady comes out and she ain't playing games. They're asking for help, but she's not interested. But she feels pity for the girl, and now they're allowed in. Our girl is understandably mad. They're still chasing these guys, and now they don't have a day driver anymore. Sean is kind of tripping out, and he's really not feeling good. And Nick drops bad news that the drugs don't always work. Our lady comes down. She's got the girl resting, and there's nowhere else nearby for these guys to go. She asks about who she is. The guys are like, I got no fucking clue. But she pulls out a newspaper with her missing poster on it. Our girl ain't vibing still. We get a flashy backstory. Basically, the vamps entered her home, killed her family, and took her with them. Our girl calls him out for losing his connection to the girl, and she doesn't know why they're still chasing her. He just says, it's unfinished business. Back to our group. She's awake, and she told them her backstory. She was supposed to be killed, but they didn't do it, and we don't know why. The dog starts barking. Our lady investigates. Buster runs off into the fog, and she gets bad vibes. She goes inside, and gunshots start blasting through the building. They all take cover in the meantime. Nick gets his gun through the chaos, and the fire is stopped for now. Our lady tells Sean where the shotgun and bullets are. Shotgun acquired now. He looks outside, then crawls back to the party. He asks about the tombstones. She says it's an old Spanish graveyard. Hallowed ground acquired. This girl enters and they start shooting. Nick gets up and gets shot, but he keeps blasting her and she tumbles outside. Nick is down, and this girl doesn't understand electricity and gets shocked to high hell until the big vamp helps her out. Sean pulls out the extra shotguns and gets it loaded. Nick ain't looking so good. Big vamp shoots his way in with the girl trailing behind him. The group stays quiet, so the two look around. She starts smacking herself with the gun until she hears the shotgun. She runs to the sound and Sean comes up and shotguns her to the face. This guy is getting really excited. Nick kicks open a door and starts gunning down the big vamp and gets a laugh. Sean gets up to finish the job, but he can't find him because he's behind him and holding the shotgun. And now Sean is getting choked and beat. He's looking rough, and the big vamp gets close and taunts him. Sean begs for death, but he's like, nah dude, you're promoted to driver. Now get my car for me. No games or the girl gets it. The girls are hiding upstairs, and he starts singing Enter Sandman by Metallica. He kicks open the door. He wants the girl for himself, but she's fighting back. A car drives through the building and everyone falls through the floor. The sun is starting to come out. Big vamp is in a bad spot, and Sean drops a one-liner and presses on that gas. The vamp is pinned against a wall. The sun is coming up fast, but the car is empty and now it's being pushed, and he is big mad. Sean steps out and gives some attitude. He tosses the keys and shotgun blasts him into the sunlight, and he ain't vibing, but he gets shot again, and he's getting really crispy now and on fire. Everyone else makes it out of the building, just in time too, because that guy exploded, and everyone is watching. Flash forward now to the hospital. The girl greets Sean, looking a lot better now. They chat. Ina, the old lady, is okay, but she doesn't remember much. She thanks Sean for everything, then leaves. He wheels himself to Nick, but he isn't there. He checked out and left Sean a note. He's on the road again. He's still infected, and he's going back on the hunt. So he's back to hitchhiking. This familiar car stops and backs up to him, but we see it's just Sean. Nick enters and they chat. Sean has been searching for him for 3 months. The new vampire has been pretty poppin'. Sean has done his research, and he wants to help Nick end this vampire plague. And then they drive off, and that's the movie. Let's get into my afterthoughts. I didn't know how to feel about this movie after everything. Don't get me wrong, in my normal words, it was a fun watch, but I wasn't like super invested in it like other movies I've watched here. Let's get to my talking points. What did I think of the story? It wasn't bad. Their take on vampires and the turning process was interesting. The big vampires that are left are very ancient, which is also pretty cool. I like that we got to see both sides of this fight. We saw the humans doing their thing and the vampires doing their thing, and I thought it was cool seeing both sides. What about the ending? I mean, it was satisfying. Ina and the other girl are okay. Sean and Nick are vampire hunting together. We saw the other vampires get blasted, so I mean, it was a good ending all around. No complaints. My favorite part about it is definitely that Sean and Nick are on their little journey together. I thought it was wholesome. Overall thoughts? While the movie itself wasn't terrible, I do have some issues. The egregious amount of hooters we saw in this movie was way more than needed. I mean, I know it's common in horror movies. Like, I'm used to seeing a pair of them per horror movie. That's pretty normal. But, Jesus Christ, it was like at least 4 or 5 different occasions. Like, we get it. The cover even says it's the sexiest vampire movie. Like, is that the only way you know how to do it? Just tossing in some bazongas every chance you get? Like, I don't know. Come on, man. Also, half the characters didn't really have names. Like, one vampire directly had a name. It was Teddy, and she got murked early on. Blonde girl didn't have a name. The driver didn't have a name. So I had to improvise a bit. Like, I'm sure it's on IMDb or something like that, but I watched the movie twice and I didn't notice names for them either. So, I don't know, man. Also, some of the scenes were so jarring, like quick, flashy shots that I tried to edit out as much as possible. It was a bit rough for my shitty little eyes. Favorite kill? This is hard because multiple ended in explosions and then that one vamp got her head blasted off, but I guess the one that came to my mind first was the Yeehaw driver. The explosion was pretty cool, maybe because it was at night so the color popped more. Best and worst character? Best to me was Nick. I thought he was pretty cool all around. He had some flaws, but I mean, that's normal. I thought he was cool though, and I was happy he survived the whole movie. Worst character was that main vampire for sure. He was just a dick, dude. Don't do Metallica dirty like he did. As for the tier list, it's going somewhere in the middle, either B or C. Seeing what I put in B, I think C is a better fit because I don't feel like this is on the same level as the movies that are in B tier. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. I had a few issues with it stated above, but it was still entertaining. So I think C is a good fit. As for character Hall of Fame, no new additions this movie. Nick was cool and all, but I didn't vibe with him enough to add him, so I'd say he's an honorable mention, as well as Ina, the older lady. Ina, oops, I don't know. I heard her name once. She's also an honorable mention. I think she could have made it in if we saw more of her, but she was pretty cool. Well, that's all I got. Thank you for watching if you're still here, and just in general. The movie is linked in the description if you want to watch it yourself, which I always recommend you do so you can form your own thoughts and opinions. Let me know what you think if you end up watching it. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do what you want. I can't tell you what to do. I am trying to put these out every week, so if it's up your alley, keep an eye out next week for a new random horror movie. Thank you again for watching, and that's all I got. Stay safe and spooky, y'all.